Time now for our political panel. Labor MP Amanda Rishworth and Liberal MP Jason Falinski with me. Thank you both for your time. We better start with that Labor review. Amanda Rishworth, I'm sure you've scoured through your copy already. Weak strategy that could not adapt to a change in leadership, cluttered policy agenda, an unpopular leader. Do you agree with everything you've read so far?
Well, look, I think that this review is a really important review. I think if you just keep making the same mistakes and don't learn from the past, then that's a problem. So I think this review does provide some really important information that can help guide us going towards the next election. But that's where my focus now firmly is. We've had the review, we've had a lot of discussion. Now our job is to get on, hold this government to account, a very bad government, and I think one of the things that was in the report was the comment that the government was a very bad government, and part of our important role is to make sure that the focus is on the government and the mistakes that they're making.
Yeah. Was written by Labor figures, so maybe not breaking news, that particular observation. Nonetheless, it did also talk about policy being cluttered, Amanda Rishworth, and saying there's nothing wrong with bold policy, but fewer policies will need to be taken to the next election. Does that mean a smaller target from Labor? I know you're not saying small target, but smaller?
Well, look, I think that obviously as we work towards the next election, we'll have to have a very good look. But of course, one of the things is that if you have policy out there, we need to make sure that the electorate knows about it. If the electorate, if there's people and groups that benefit from our policies, then we need the time and the space to be able to make sure that in an election
Right, but that means, you know, there's only so many you can explain, so it's fewer policies and it's smaller target. Isn't that all just a logical flow on?
Well, as I said, we'll have our policy agenda going forward. But as the review said, it was often very complex. There were a lot of them. There was questions around the timing. So, of course, our fundamental challenge is to make sure we develop good policies, but importantly, make sure the electorate know about them, know about how they will benefit, and I think that's an important part of our challenge going forward. In a cluttered day, cluttered news, it is hard to cut through, but that's what we've got to do. So,
Jason Falinski, on behalf of the bad government, what did you make of the report?
Look, I haven't read it actually, Tom, but you know, I feel for Labor. I'm a member of the Liberal Party. We've lost our fair share of unlosable elections, and these are very difficult periods. But you know, I hope for the country as a whole that Labor, you know, has the review and rejoins the battle for ideas, because it makes the Parliament and our nation a better place. So let's hope Amanda's right and they can put this behind them and rejoin that battle.
Very magnanimous. I'm used to you throwing more barbs. Maybe you're missing a usual offside. What about the lesson for the Liberal Party here? I mean, Labor's not going to be seemingly as complacent as it was. This report basically said it never shifted its attack from Malcolm Turnbull onto Scott Morrison. Clearly, Labor's not going to be indulging any more hubris before the next election. So there's a little warning for you guys as well, too.
Well, as I say, I mean, the Parliament's best when everyone's kept on their toes. I mean, I actually don't agree with that proposition. I think that Bill Shorten was a very good leader of the opposition. It was a very willing Parliament, and one would almost say that maybe too willing, and Labor really took no prisoners in the last term of Parliament. So I don't think that's actually a fair reflection on Labor in opposition in the last Parliament or on Bill Shorten as leader of the opposition.
Is that just you starting to get Bill back campaign?
You are such a cynic, Tom, and on this day of all days I would expect better from you.
Amanda Rishworth, what does it say about Bill Shorten? Is he electable?
Well, look, the review really said that there's no one aspect that led to Labor's defeat. It identified that there was issues around popularity, and of course that is an issue for all opposition leaders. It is a really tough gig. It also identified that there was some strengths around Bill's ability to beat Scott Morrison in all three debates. So, look, it is a difficult challenge challenging role to be opposition leader, but certainly the review didn't identify just one factor. It identified a lot of factors, and I think that's important to recognise.
Still was a factor. Anyway, we had Jay Weatherall say he's not unelectable in his particular point of view.